And even the aliens in the original Men in Black weren't dangerous. The ones that were going to destroy the Earth. It was the cockroach one. Okay, maybe I don't want to live in the Men in Black universe.
All right, see? There we go.
There we go.
Kyle's like, I'm glad we're on the same page.
I was waiting for you to get there. I knew you would.
There we go. Never mind. If there's a cockroach planet, I'm good. You could just eject me into space.
I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, Brad.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Super Agile Bros. You already know what it is. It's your boy Bradston, and the game has just begun. I want to introduce my brothers in crime. First, the brother Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing, sir?
Game has started. Where we dropping, boys?
The hottest mobile game ever. Apex Legends.
Not available on iOS devices.
Not available. And of course, introducing the boy himself, Steve. What's happening, brother Steve?
Hello, Brad. I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Oh, it's like he's like a country alien, like
trying to fit in.
I'm just
what's up, y'all?
Raking my yard, just raking the leaves.
Normal human behavior.
Normal, spring behavior.
I sure do love Earth women.
Bro,
how about
let
you?
me tell you how much I love Earth women.
They have the correct amount of legs.
I like how their legs connect to their midsection.
Or don't. Everyone's different.
Everyone's different. What is it? Body positivity. Everybody is.
Don't shame the arm leg ladies.
I'll try not to do that. So, yeah, welcome everybody to another episode. I mean, today's going to be a good one. It's going to be a lot of imagination. Wait. Before I start, Steve said he had something he wanted to say on the podcast before we started.
Speaking of loving women, we were talking about simping. Because when Brad got on, he was a little late, teeny bit late. He was after us. And he was like, yeah, sorry, I was trying to be a good husband. And so that got us on this topic of simping. And we were talking like, is it simping if it's your wife? And I realized I was thinking like, who is in fiction the greatest simp? And so I wanted to ask you guys what you thought. I have my idea, but quick aside from the topic at hand. Who's the greatest simp in fiction?
Wait. So, are you asking us because you already have an answer that you want to talk about?
Yes.
Just tell us who you think it is.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
SpongeBob's not. Who's he simp for?
Everyone.
Okay, that's fair.
Inuyasha.
Yeah, I guess.
I literally just threw out somebody.
Don't the girls simp for him?
Yes.
In real life, not in the show.
No, I thought he was a ladies' man in the show.
No.
Could go, maybe.
No. What's his name? His brother.
Shishomaru.
He's definitely a ladies' man.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He was a man's man.
He's aloof.
Just like the ladies love it when you're aloof.
Aloof and distant. And he had that soft voice like, now it is time for me to get you, Inuyasha. And it's like, oh,
get me. No, so the greatest simp in fiction is absolutely Gomez Addams.
Who?
Gomez Addams from the Addams Family.
Oh,
deep pull.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, this man be kissing up and down her arms, talking about how she's his light and his darkness, like the most overly romantic, like completely focused on her attitude.
So let me ask you this. Is somebody a simp if the person responds to their love? Like, or can you be a simp if it's like only one way?
Oh, snap.
I'm assuming so, right?
I mean, I feel like the idea behind the derogatory term is that it's a one-way relationship. Like, you're pathetic because she'll never love you.
Right.
But I've also heard it just referred to anyone who's like whipped, quote unquote, whipped by his significant other.
Just anyone who respects.
Yeah, anyone who respects his woman or any woman.
I feel like that's only coming from single people.
Oh, absolutely.
The opposite of simps.
Yes, yeah. I feel like I'm okay with the definition that you're a person who it's basically unrequited love, right? You're kind of a stalker without the intention of truly stalking, you know? Like, oh, I love this person. They're so incredible. I'll do anything for them. I'll defend them. But they're
You're
like,
a stalker at heart.
And they're like, who are you? You know, that seems like simping to me. Now, I don't think Gomez Adams is a simp because she loves him just as much.
You're right. By that definition, you're right. He's not.
He's whipped,
not
for sure.
So
He's definitely whipped.
As any good husband should be, but, you know.
You kind of described like what a secret admirer kind of is. They stalk, but secretively.
I almost said Pepe Le Pew, but he's more of a...
Oh, no, he's a womanizer.
He's in a... I'm not going to say what he is, but his advances are purely unwelcome.
He's a Me Too generator.
Yes. Hashtag Pepe Le Pew too.
What about Brock from Pokemon?
Oh, he's a simp.
Yeah.
I think he's one of probably the greatest simps of all time.
Yeah,
he's
I would have taken that.
That's fair. There's somebody who's on my mind, but I cannot like think of who they are. But if it comes back, you know, well, I don't know. Gomez Adams is I would say for a lot of married couples, that's relationship goals. At least,
yeah, Gomez is my inspiration.
Should aspire to be.
Mm-hmm. You know, smooth, got a big mansion, got money. You know, his girl fine, got these delinquent children.
What is Johnny Bravo?
He is also.
He's also a
Pepe Le Pew. 100. Dude, go back and watch Johnny Bravo. Honestly, I cannot believe some of that stuff made it on TV, bro. Like,
it's legit unacceptable. I don't care who.
There is a scene in the show that legitimately, I was like, how did this get through? Like, this is so, like, I guess as a kid, I didn't see it, notice it, but I'm like,
sure, these
are adults making this.
Yeah. Adults knew at the time.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I think there's some simp I'm thinking of right now. I can't get on my head. But, you know, speaking of
circle back.
Speaking of simps, you know, that actually, I don't know how I could segue simps into our topic, but we're doing something different today. You know, we're all about talking about games, movies, video games, and I said games, movies, video games, anime, whatever. But recently, in our Discord, I don't know, was it one of you guys? Somebody shared a clip of the guys from that sketch comedy group, the black dudes who
what is it? RC World 1 or something?
RDC World.
Yeah.
And they were all, it was like a funny skit where they're like, hey, like if you were to live in one anime, what would it be? You know? And I feel like that idea inspired today's episode. I feel like this is going to be a multi-part episode where we talk about different topics from time to time. But today we're going to talk about if we could live in one movie universe, what would that movie universe be? Why? Also, like, what makes a movie universe somewhere you want to live? And then also, like, what movie universes would you not want to live in? Like, we got to do that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't leave that out.
Of course.
So before we get into the movie universes, let's talk about what would make a movie universe worth living in general. So, like, you know, just a few little pieces like, oh, this, and that. So what for you guys, what would make a movie universe a place where you could thrive and be greater than you are today?
So before we get into that, I have to ask, are we assuming that the universe is like normal? Like it's our universe? Let me rephrase that. Cracks.com did a really funny video about the superpowers that every movie character has. And it was basically poking fun at the way that we've kind of condensed movie, like real life in a movie is kind of condensed to make the movie like run faster. So things like, oh, when people finish a conversation, they just hang up their phones, or they all have like perfect recall when there's a flashback, or this or that or the other, you know. So are we kind of are we including those aspects of the movie universe, or are we just kind of translating it back into the real world with like real world implications and continuity and so on?
I mean, my thought behind it is that it's whatever the movie's universe is as it's displayed we understand it, not trying to like interpret it back into our world. So if it's, I don't know, Star Trek, it's whatever the Star Trek universe rules are, right? And we just use that, you know? And sure, we can parallel it to our world, but just think about it as its totality, not like the minutia, but maybe something about the minutia you do like and why you'd want to be in the world. So that's fair game too. But
I have another kind of, I guess, question kind of tie into that. You know, these universes do have rules, but not all of them apply to everyone. Yeah. So like main characters are pretty much who fall into what Steve described, but background characters don't always have access to that stuff. So in these worlds, who are we?
So this is actually something I was going to bring up. Good question. Was I want us to think about it from both perspectives, being the main character and also just being a person in that world, right?
Got it.
So, you know, Marvel vs. Superman, you might think of yourself as a Marvel superhero. I'm sorry, Marvel vs. Superman.
We'll just let that one slide. This is not a comic book podcast.
Batman versus Superman, you could be like, oh, I'm one of the, you know, superheroes. And then go, you know what if I was a person in the world? I'm like free realm, like range, how we want to handle it. Like it's kind of open. But one thing I did want to say, and I shared this with you guys earlier, is that we're not limiting it to movies that are just movies, like only that they are fully movie only. Meaning, if it's a movie based on a video game, a movie based on a book, a movie based on a graphic novel, a movie based on a blah 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 blah, those are fair game too. Because it's a movie, but think of it from the movie aspect. You dig?
Yeah,
sure. Well, I have one that I'm cheating. Already I'm cheating.
Well, before you say the world, what aspects of a movie world would make you want to live in it? Like what?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Cool technology that isn't like dystopian.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm just naming things. Are we not?
Oh, you said one thing and stop talking.
Are we not going to continue talking?
Well, you started talking, so we're like.
I thought you were going to make a list.
I don't have a list. I just named one thing.
Oh,
now it's your turn.
I agree. Yeah. So I'd like when I was making my list, I was thinking of places that if I wasn't a main character, that I wouldn't immediately die or I wouldn't always be in danger. So some place that's relatively safe.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like for me, it differs. It's to me like movie logic is different, like you were saying, than our world logic. So, like for example, one thing that seems in some movies is like pretty heavy is death, right? In other movies, they're pretty flippant about it, right? Somebody could just die off screen and they just keep moving, you know? So to me, I want to be in a world where like there are stakes, like it's still dangerous to live. There's something, you know, that makes me want to live. And also a world where I don't have to ever use the bathroom or eat. You know, because that seems to be a thing that I love about movies. I always think to myself, when does this person use the bathroom? You know?
So we are using movie magic rules.
Right. Yeah. So I'd like any world where like the random mundane things that just I just hate thinking about, don't.
Liminal events, liminal actions.
Liminal action. Look at this man. He's educated. Yeah. So I think that's a part of it. But honestly, I like more of the overarching feel of that world, you know, like I want to live in a world, because one thing I love about my current existence is mystery, right? like things that I don't know about or things that make me wonder. So I want to live in a world with a lot of wonder and a lot of things that I can investigate and come to understand. So I think I said a lot of different stupid things, but those are some of the different stupid things. So Steve, you already had something. It sounds like what's a movie universe or a movie?
Let's hear it.
Again, I'm cheating. This was a movie, and we could talk about the movie, but I wanted to invoke the name of early Star Trek, like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about it, boy?
What about it? So let's start. Star Trek is for science fiction. Star Trek is a very optimistic universe, like especially the Federation, but even other I guess civilizations that they come across are basically utopian. The Federation has erased scarcity somehow. It's not really explained how they do it or to what extent they've changed as a people, but it's a very only the people who are the main characters and are always in the forefront of new experiences on the frontier are really in danger or dealing with war. There's also, there are wars with other civilizations, but there's not civil wars. And if you're not in a spaceship or dealing with aliens or whatever, then most people seem to lead, especially on Earth, people seem to lead a pretty chill life. But if you want adventure and mystery, there's inner space travel. You can just go wherever you want. Yeah. The Next Generation, the whole premise was this is a spaceship whose job it is to go around finding new things. And the Captain Picard was a wannabe archaeologist, and he would there'd be whole episodes that were he's exploring ruins of ancient alien civilizations and uncovering secrets, and that's just super cool and kind of charming.
So let me ask you this: so these Next Generation, these are movies?
There are movies based in the Next Generation world. So that's how I'm cheating. I'm using the movies even though it was originally a TV show.
Okay.
The movies are a little more, from what I recall, they're a little more. There's more conflict, right? Because it's about there's the Borg and whatever else is going on in the movie. So there is war, and maybe I'd be less excited about being there. But in general, Star Trek is pretty cool.
So in Star Trek, I can only go based off the movies. I've seen the TV show when you were watching it. I never really watched it myself heavily. I know the newer ones with who's the actor? Chris Pine, right? Mm-hmm. Is that universe very different? Because to me, that universe seemed like normal universe, our universe, but in the future,
it's pretty normal. It's pretty. They've changed the tone. That's why I said old Star Trek, because it's significant. And the new Star Trek things that are coming out now, like the new Picard show, is even more dark and gritty than the Chris Pine movies. So I'm not talking about that.
So you really want to be in that universe because
lighthearted.
You would just be able to live a utopian life, essentially.
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to just be able to explore space with. Yeah.
But can anybody just explore space? It still seems like you have to be a part of the Federation to be able to even get on a ship. You know what I'm saying? Be a part of NASA or the military.
No, it's not there's commercial shipping and you would have to be well off enough to either own a ship or just work on a ship.
So for you, if you are a normal person, meaning a background character, you probably would never go to space.
If you just go per capita, the chances of me being a person who went to space, I guess, are low because there's billions and billions of billions of people. But a lot of the people in the movies or in the show are spacefaring people.
Okay, so it seems like there's really only two options, right? You can either be a normal person who likelihood would just have a job, might have a job that's somewhat adjacent to space travel, but likely it's just going to be on Earth or whatever planet you live on. Or
a scientist
or something. Or you are a main character and you're out in the front line where all the dangerous stuff is happening, right? So would you prefer to be a background character, I guess?
I don't know. I'd probably be torn if I was in that world. But even being a background character and not being in space would be good because life on Earth is good. Maybe not on the other planets, but at least on Earth, it's pretty good.
And it seems like you'd likely be working, I guess, no matter what when you went into space. Because if people on the ships doing these adventures, I guess, would technically be like military.
All the main characters, it's basically military. Yeah, it's the future military. Yeah. It's not like Starship Troopers where it's like overly militarized. They're more like explorers, peacemakers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's military.
And then otherwise, like I've traveled for work and gone to like some really nice places. But I feel like whenever you travel for work, there's always a piece of it that isn't as enjoyable because you're not there for
leisure,
for fun. Yeah,
and that's kind of what I was wondering. I was like, is there a leisure aspect to this spacefaring like culture?
Well,
or is it just purely
something I forgot to mention is just the tone of the show is very like charming and witty, and so all of the friendships are like wholesome friendships, and people are always like, ribbing each other and having a good time and like getting over their insecurities and becoming better people. And, every episode is like character. It's not just welcome to space. It's like character building and community building. And so there's just a good vibe in this universe. Unless you're killed horribly.
Then you're having a bad time.
That is a bad vibe.
Like real life. It sounds like...
I mean, the very first episode of Deep Space Nine is about a guy who's been traumatized, but his wife was killed he was the captain of the ship, and she was killed basically on his watch, like the ship was attacked. And then that whole first episode is basically him kind of coming to terms with his trauma and being able to deal with it and like talk to his son about it and stuff. So it's like, yeah, bad things happen, but there's kind of, it's growth. It's a growth time.
Okay. I can feel that.
I'm about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can feel that. So what about you, Kyle?
So since we've, I guess, talked through the stipulations, I think I'm going to go with one of my secondary choices here. And so I'm actually going to pick like not a specific movie, but like a movie type. And it's just because it's like in between for me. So like movies where there aren't any humans in them, but everything is still alive. So like
Toy
Zootopia.
Story?
No, Zootopia or Shark Tale or Cars. The first two are animals, of course, but like Cars, it's machines, but they're all alive. And so one reason why I put it like in the middle for me to live in this universe is because I don't know what I would be. Because there's some like really bad situations to be in all of these worlds. Like if you're a tiny animal in Zootopia, or if you live in the water, it seemed like whenever you watch that movie. And these are all animated movies too, so take that as you will. But there was definitely a lower class or a lower place to live in each of these universes. And so if I'm a side character, I don't know if it'd be as desirable. But if I'm a main character, it seems like everything's great. So,
but you said they're not human, but like they're all basically people. They're still human.
Yeah, they're really. Anthropomorphized.
Right.
Anthropomorphized? I don't know.
Anthropomorphized.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, whether you're a car or a human being, like, it's still all the normal people problems.
I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Zootopia, especially, that's literally just racism, the movie. Like,
I mean, I think it's hard because it's like Zootopia. You have a lot more diversity in the world, right? There's so many animals, so many different types, sizes. you know, the DMV run by sloths, you know. So I feel like there's some whimsicalness that you might get in the world that you won't get in our world. But at the same time, it's hard because you always have to remember, I have to live in this world, right? It's like, so I'm just a fox in this world, and people think that I'm shifty, you know, or I'm a bunny rabbit and people think I'm weak and soft, you know.
But isn't that how it is now?
Yeah, it's just
people
animal.
think you're yeah. It's just
so Kyle just wants to be an animal. That's really what he's saying.
Kyle's a furry confirmed.
Wait a minute, I put cars in there too.
Simp
that was
for
supposed to
confirmed.
throw you guys off of the scent.
Okay, so what about cars? What makes cars? So you're gonna be So are there humans in the Cars universe?
I don't. I've never seen Cars, so I cannot answer this question.
Oh,
there
wow.
hasn't been anything confirming humans. When they do show like cars getting maintenance and stuff, it's from other cars. It's very unclear.
Because it seems like the world was built for humans, and that the cars, the things that the car, like it seems like it's our world just with no people, and the cars have kind of like made it work. But it doesn't seem like the cars built it themselves, because, you know, everything would be super different, I assume.
Cars almost feels like it's a what's that Planet of the Apes type of situation.
Yeah.
Where like if they lived in their own world, they probably wouldn't, like you said, make these communities and these towns in this way. They'd probably live completely differently, you know. But like some virus happened that killed all the humans, or they killed the humans.
Ooh,
you know, the Cars just ran us over.
Oh yeah,
brought us.
I want to see the Cars prequel.
Yes. Ooh, somebody should do that. It should be
starring Elon Musk.
He's the co-producer. It should be called Vehicles. You know, and it just starts with like,
homicide.
Some guy like hiding in the bushes, like, I am one of the last humans.
And you hear bam bam off screen.
No, Karen, no. Like, we live a harsh life, staying out of the headlights. Yeah, I mean,
That's a good line.
Like that's an interesting. So I'm assuming in the Cars world, you'd be a car, Kyle.
I would hope to be a car. I mean, the little forklift character.
As opposed to what?
Cool. I mean, they had like boats and stuff, and then they did a planes spinoff. So there are other vehicles, and then they even show that like flies and stuff were also tiny cars. So bugs.
What?
Yeah, so bugs aren't even bugs in the Cars universe.
So there's no like animals. It's all just machines.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that episode of Rick and Morty when they're trying to find a new planet to live on, and they found one planet with a sun that came up and was just screaming, and they immediately leave because that's awful. And then they get to another planet and there's just corn everywhere, and they're like, "Oh, that's not so bad." And then they look at the flowers, and the flowers are also made of corn, and like a bug flies past, and it's just corn on it's just on the cob. Everything's on the cob. And like Rick is like starting to panic, and he pulls a microscope out, and like all the particles are just little corn on the cob particles floating around, and he's like, get back in right now, it's on the cob, it's all on the cob. They're freaking out.
That sounds a lot like Cars.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, I don't know, that's, to me, it's interesting that you've chosen those two movies, because like, to me, they still seem like, kind of like you're saying, Steve, they still seem like normal kind of universes, you know, pretty chill. Like, in what would being a side character in that movie be like? I guess you'd be
well. Let me ask this question: as a side character, are you like obsessed with races? Because it seems like the whole story revolved around racing and cars. So yeah, like, is racing the foundation of society in this world?
So in Cars, it seemed like because they were cars, that racing was the combination of like movies and musicians and any type of celebrity. It seemed like the pinnacle was being a race car.
Wouldn't that essentially be like being an athlete, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
because I don't remember there being those other things. So yeah, I think everyone is pretty obsessed with racing in some capacity in the Cars universe.
Man, so this makes me think. I have so many questions now. Like, okay, I'm a car. Are my tires just my shoes, more or less? You know, like, what part of me is me? You know, like,
yeah,
because the tires make sense. Those would be shoes. You know, they just change whatever. They're just like cosmetic. Also have a utility. But like, what is a cracked windshield? What if somebody kicks a rock up? Is that like...
Right. Because that's their eyes.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
You know?
Do they heal over time, or can they only be repaired?
So they went to repair shops, but it was unclear whether or not they actually felt pain. Because Lightning McQueen, he did blow his tires, but there was like sparks and stuff because he was still trying to drive. And so if the tires are his shoes, then, you know, the rims, I guess, would be his feet.
His bare feet, yeah.
But he wasn't like wincing in pain. He was just frustrated that he couldn't go any faster. So it's very unclear, I guess, where their actual, if they can feel pain, first of all, but where their, I guess, bodies begin.
Right. I want to see a naked car.
I mean, they might be naked, but nakedness in their universe is different, right?
Yeah.
Like, speaking
because they do go to body shops and stuff, and they can get paint jobs, you know, and decals. Lightning McQueen gets roasted because he doesn't have any headlights. So I don't know what headlights are.
Huh.
One time in the movie, they allude to headlights being, for PG audience, being part of your chest.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, they could just be... There's no reason that there has to be like a human equivalent to every little thing.
True. We're really...
What I want to know is...
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask why the cars... So we can walk and run fine, and yet we still found it convenient to find faster ways to travel. And eventually, our technology led us to building cars. So I was going to ask, why haven't the cars developed technology to get around faster than they can by themselves, or more conveniently in some way? But then I realized that would just be building bigger cars, and in this universe, cars are alive. So I'm like, would that be like us building giant people to carry us around?
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it just make more sense that they would look for some other... Because we also are in the same universe where there's people who are planes and boats, right?
Yeah.
So...
And one of the main characters is an 18-wheeler who pulls a trailer around for Lightning McQueen.
So in many ways...
Is the trailer alive?
The trailer is not alive.
Just the cab, I guess. The trailer would be the attachment, right?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. What, like in our world, right? Locomotion or moving from point A to point B is a big deal. So we had to create some mechanism to help us move more efficiently, right? But in the cars universe, the vehicles universe, locomotion is not their biggest issue, right? So they probably...
What is it?
I don't know. Maybe it would be something like... It's something
gasoline?
that we do easily, like... grabbing things, right? Like maybe their biggest issue is that they can't like manipulate smaller objects. So they have to create technology that allows them to interact with smaller objects. So there's like cars with these giant tires, 20-inch tires trying to make a thing so they can pick up a daisy or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how does manufacturing work? If they need to replace your tires, like, who builds the tire?
See, the question is, what did the first cars look like? Were they just on rims?
What do baby cars look like?
So
just baby cars.
They do allude to that because they're old. There are older models of vehicles. Like when he goes to, was it Route 66? There's like an old General Jeep, and then there's an even older, like, style car with even like the pulley on the front, and then Harris, whatever the coach car, he was like an older model,
like a Model T.
I don't know if it was quite that old, but like they definitely do have that span though, where they do show cars from those different eras. But then they also in Cars 3, which when Lightning McQueen was having his midlife crisis, I guess, because he was getting quote unquote older.
His Spider-Man too.
They introduced new cars that nobody had ever seen before. That had new technology. They were faster. They were built better, but they don't explain where these new cars come from. But they were called rookies and all this stuff, as if the cars do age, and so the sentience of these new cars was recently obtained, but we don't know how.
So they're children?
Yeah, they're like young bucks, that teenagers, young adults that are getting into the racing scene.
Yo, it makes me think about like this idea, like, okay, we're birthed inside of our mother, right? Our mother, we are literally our own factory, right? Like humans make more humans, right?
Sure.
So we go off the assumption that cars make more cars, right? Mm-hmm. But what if there was a different mechanism for synthetic life to be created, right? So I'm going to use this really outlandish concept of like evolution and the planet created something that creates a thing that creates more things that are not itself, right? Like, oh, like I'm a factory. Like somehow evolution created a factory that creates cars, right? Mm-hmm. So the cars just get produced by this factory and that's how they get birthed. And the factory is continuing to evolve and making more efficient, better cars to do some purpose. I don't know.
For racing, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, what is the purpose? If the cars are changing, that implies that the factory is aiming for something.
Yeah. But okay, let's take our own human.
Why wouldn't the little bugs be airplanes instead of cars? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that goes back to the idea that there's a factory producing these things, right? Like in different, because to me that feels like this is what preceded all this was humans. Humans created this universe and then they died off for some odd reason, or what if somebody created a perfect AI and they were like, oh, I want this AI to make the perfect car. And the way that it did it was kill all humans and create this factory that's always striving to make a better car and give them sentience and all this stuff.
So like it was an Ultron's mentality?
Basically. This is if Ultron wins,
And Ultron's a car.
Yeah, I really would love to see like a true prequel. Like we should write a whole story. Decide what works. I mean, okay. We got into cars talk.
We gotta get away from cars.
But cars talk reminds me of well, okay. You guys already know I'm a big sci-fi fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
you what?
Thank you. I'm a huge sci-fi fan. I like sci-fi movies. That's probably primarily the movies that I partake in. So, unsurprisingly, most of the movies the universe I want to be in would be a sci-fi movie. So, one of the movies that I would actually want to be in, and I know this is going to sound really strange, is actually Cloverfield. Now,
giant. Okay.
Yes.
That does sound strange.
It's strange because I don't know why. I always have these dreams where I envision that I'm in a world where some like catastrophic event is happening. Like I had a dream that like all of a sudden there's these like alien planes like attacking all of the like the world, like just all of the planes and like shooting things down. And all they wanted was air dominance, right? So they would shoot down on the planet, but it was like we were living in this world where we can no longer like locomote via the sky, and there were these beings that were just all powerful, keeping us trapped. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And to me, I'm like, what is it like to be in a world where what is survival is changed, right? Like I can still exist, I can still be me, but like I need to find a way to survive, Like right now, how I survive is having a job, paying my bills, and hoping that Sally Mae doesn't find me, But what if I lived in a world where there's a giant, whale that drops giant fleas that attack you and you have to escape and like I don't know.
It's hard pass.
I know.
So you want to struggle.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess a little bit.
Live life on the edge. Like you want to feel like something wants to kill you.
I want to kill him.
Not that something is making me fight harder to live. You know. And also,
man, just move to Utah.
What'd you say?
Just move to Utah. Live in the desert.
That's different than like the environment being oppressive. I want something like another biological or some type of like a higher or like we're not top of the food chain. You know what I'm saying? Like
Australia. Everything there wants you dead.
Yeah, but once again, they're smaller than me. I can hide in my house. I have guns. Like humans win. You know,
this man wants an existential threat.
Yeah, more or less. But
all right, I got you.
Okay.
Well, dang, this isn't a movie. I can't talk about it. Never mind.
What were you gonna say? I'd like to hear anyway.
Are you sure? You don't want it's not going to derail the conversation?
I mean, I'll bring it back. What were you going to say?
All right. I was going to say the world of Half-Life 2, where the Combine have invaded and basically taken over Earth, and humanity is basically on its last legs and is just trying to survive any way it can. And there's even like a field in place that keeps people from conceiving children. So, you know, our population is declining. But there's still not terrorists, you know, but people who are fighting back.
The resistance.
I guess they are terrorists technically, but I didn't mean that in a bad way.
The resistance. They resist.
Yeah, the resistance, and you know, there's still hope. And the main character is this character who brings hope with him. So like people see him and they're like, yeah, I'll follow him. But there's this thought that like, yeah, you know, the world went to crap, but it could be better. We could get our planet back. We can kick them out. And it's all about like the human spirit and ingenuity. Because we have technology that, as big and bad as these aliens are, like we have technology they don't have. And so we can try to use that to our advantage.
Okay. So I think the biggest thing is that I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want to be in a world like
man, choosing.
So I think what I'm trying to say is I don't want to live in a world where I'm actively oppressed by a greater force, right? Like where I'm basically enslaved, you know, because,
okay,
you know,
too much.
But I want to live in a world where essentially like we're the ants compared to something else. So something else.
Starship Troopers.
So they're not forcing you to do anything, but like, they do prevent you from doing things.
Exactly. Like, we don't have complete full reign. Like, imagine we lived on the planet, but the planet was like 100,000 times bigger than it is now, right? And there was a higher order species that was larger than us that more or less...
Mega lions or something?
Wait, what?
Like mega lions. I just made that up or something.
I think
like a lion is something that can still like scare people and like terrorize a village. And so I'm thinking like, what if I just scale that up to be more terrifying?
Yeah, I think what you're focusing on is on something that's like deadly and trying to kill you. Like
you started with Cloverfield.
No, but Cloverfield. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. That giant whale who's moving throughout the planet is actually just living its life in a way, right? Like it's just going about its business and it's just giant and it's like, this is in my way of life, so I'm going to destroy it. Similarly...
Well, that's what I was going for with mega lions. They're just animals. They're not evil. But
so similarly, like when you see an ant pile in your yard, they have a whole life, society, existence, right? And to you, it's just a nuisance. You're like, man, I want my yard to look good. Right? So you murder them, right? But like, if ants had our order of thinking, they would know, hey, I'm not going to put my ant pile in somebody's yard, right? So if there was something that was a higher order of us, who basically we had to exist amongst, how would we live our lives, right? We'd be like a little bit less cavalier, and it would be a little bit more like, man, I want to go to space, but if I fly up, these things see me as aggressive. like as a wasp and they crush me, you know? So I don't know. There's just this idea that like, I enjoy being small, you know? And like, I don't know, like humility for some reason.
Put me in my place.
I don't know if that makes sense. But
so
it
in
makes
that
sense. I'm trying to think of something else that would.
Are you? So is that because you like to go against that and try to escape? You want to fight against it because you feel like there's something greater on the other side of it?
I think what it is that right now we live in a world where there are forces greater than us, but we have no, but they're like impersonal, right? Like gravity and space,
the weather,
and the like these things are completely like, they're bigger than us, they're stronger than us, they're greater than us, but like they feel completely intangible. But what if there was a tangible thing, like, oh, like there's another mega humans that exist and they have intentions and goals and purpose, and our goal is just to kind of like navigate in that, because that's what we do as humans now. But I just would like to more or less personify the things that kind of.
So you want to live in Attack on Titan world?
Yes, but still in that world, we're still the alphas, you know? Like,
I mean, if you, yes and no, you're the alphas in your own space that you can kind of eke out and create. But there's always a fear that you're going to stumble. I mean, they're not very smart, but they're just minding their own business. And if they see you, they'll attack you. So,
they're like antagonistic to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not antagonistic to an ant, you know? Like, if it's in my house, it might get into my food. I guess I got to kill this.
I don't know what, I mean, sure. Okay. I don't know if I'm following the exact nuances of what you're trying to describe, but.
So scale plays a big part. So you want something that has its own intentions, but doesn't care about you to live among.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that would just be, to me, it would just be, I don't know. I like the idea that there's wonder, like something that tangibly that I can go, wow, like there's these giant creatures. I don't know what their purpose is. I don't know what they do, but they exist. And I just have to like be amongst them, you know? I don't know. There's something about wonder to me. So
what about the Green Knight? Have you seen the Green Knight?
I don't believe so.
Oh, there's a very beautiful scene with giants. I feel like maybe you could go for something like Spirited Away, where there's, first of all, there's tons of wonder and charm and good stuff there. But there's also like, you know, giant spirits that you have to deal with. And some of them are friendly. Some of them might not be friendly. And, you know, one of the characters is a dragon. And I guess dragons could potentially be dangerous as well. And you kind of just have to hope that they're friendly.
Yeah, no, I
think
in
this scenario, if we're the ants, like our civilizations for these other beings would be like ant piles. So would that mean we'll be building colonies on land that they control? And would that then make them hostile towards us?
At times, yes. But like, we don't go necessarily into the like African safari destroying giant termite piles. We
don't go out of our way.
We just go, wow, look at that. That thing is like 18 foot tall and like there's billions of them in there. Wow, like we might put our weird little camera and incidentally kill a few people, you know what I'm saying? But that's not our goal.
More there to observe.
Exactly. So that's kind of, but if you were to try to be a termite and eat their habitats down, this has all the great nutrients we need to, you know, and then they'd murder you.
Okay.
So
that sounds like this type of force, I guess, would bring another level of balance, I guess, to the world. Because right now in the world we live in, it's super comfortable. There's nothing stopping humans except ourselves, really, from achieving infinite possibilities, more or less. So to have a ceiling, I guess, would feel reassuring in a way that you're contained.
Yeah.
What about something like I mean, there's tons of fantasy and sci-fi stories where like there are things that are bigger than us.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say I like what you were going with, Steve. This Spirited Away universe, because I also like the idea of being in a universe where there's things that are not greater than us but are equal to us. You know, like
yeah, weird and different,
right?
Oh, Mushishi, bruh.
Yes,
that's an anime, but
and in the movie, I was actually gonna say, and I don't want to take over the conversation. I want to hear more of y'all's movies, but was actually Princess Mononoke, right? That universe where like the spirit animals and the spirit creatures and the stuff like that are like directly like connected with our life, you know? Like you can't separate, like Spirited Away, you can kind of like live a normal life and be unaware of the spirit side of things, because that's kind of some of the premise. But in Princess Mononoke, you kind of have to live side by side with it, you know? And there's these great forest creatures and there's things, and like humans kind of are like battling it, you know? I would be interesting to live in a world like that, you know? And also to see the wonder of little creatures that you don't know what they do and what their power are, and, you know? So it would be kind of like living on this planet as it is, but there would just be a little bit greater power in entities that we have no control over, you know? So, I don't know. And there'd be a lot of wonder and discovery and things that there'd always be people discovering new things every day and every week. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's really cool.
Yeah. One of my suggestions was going to be Howl's Moving Castle. Because, I mean, all of the movies are like this, but if you've read the book, Howl's Moving Castle, it kind of introduces more of the world and explains it a little better. But it's just such a delightful world, and it's very like, I mean, it's magical, but it's kind of a soft magic, and there's dangerous things, but there's also like cool things, and I don't know, there's just a lot of cool stuff, and I guess there's not as much of a sense of presiding danger that Brad wants, but you know, I like the whimsy and the adventure and the mystery of Howl's Moving Castle.
So wasn't Howl's Moving Castle basically about an old woman who
No.
Oh.
Sorry, continue.
Wait, wasn't it an old woman who encountered Howl, right?
So it's actually a young
woman, and then she becomes
who gets cursed to become old.
That's what it was.
And she forgets that she's like not supposed to be old.
And then, but she got cursed by another witch who wasn't Howl.
Correct. She got cursed by a witch, and I forget in the book why. Actually, I forget in the movie and the book.
I think it seemed like it was just because she was like pretty or something.
She's kind of just a jerk.
Just a jerk witch.
Maybe she was jealous.
Yeah, and then Howl showed up, and like,
well, yeah.
And Howl seems like a Willy Wonka type. Like he doesn't really have a purpose. He just be doing stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of so Willy Wonka's, I think his defining character trait was whimsy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Howl he's just a very self-centered, flamboyant, but generally good-natured and really powerful guy.
Wonka was
I would say
unhinged.
Huh?
Said Wonka was pretty unhinged.
Yeah.
And so was Howl a little bit.
I wouldn't say Howl's unhinged. He's very flamboyant and like and flashy.
He seems like he's chaotic neutral. Like he just like,
yeah, I would say that, sure.
Like he wasn't trying to help this girl per se. Like
she just happened to be around. Exactly. He was like, "Yeah, I'll help her out."
You know. So you like the world because of the magical elements of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Magic.
It's just very pretty and very. I assume that we would be living in the hand-drawn animated world, so that's cool.
Girl, you so hand-drawn.
Plus.
I like how flat.
I like how flat you are.
Girl, I love how smooth your skin is.
The way they colored in the line on you, girl.
Plus, Calcifer is just a really fun character.
So who's Calcifer?
He's the fire demon.
Oh,
that lives in
the castle, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. A fire demon that lives in a castle is named Castlefer?
No, Calcifer, like
okay.
calcium.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I feel better about that.
Basically, Howl's moving castles is like like Dracula's castle. Like, it just be moving around, and it's just like Howl is Dracula, but not trying to kill the human race.
You're really trying. No,
I mean,
there's no relation whatsoever.
Like in Castlevania, come on, Howl could basically do whatever he wants. You know, it's kind of like Dracula.
Within reason, I mean, within some reason, yeah.
You know,
like he actually can't move his. First of all, the castle doesn't teleport. It just literally gets up on legs and walks around.
That's fun.
But it's powered by Calcifer. It isn't Hal doing the work.
Will Calcifer die if he leaves the castle?
It's complex. I don't want to say too much in case anyone hasn't seen it yet. It's a great movie.
Spoilies.
Yeah, I've seen it, but it's like a vague memory. I got to go back and watch it.
I haven't seen any of that.
So
I'm intrigued, though.
So 3.
You should absolutely watch it if you haven't seen it, Kyle. It's so good.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I mean,
what's it called again?
Howl's Moving Castle.
It's a Studio Ghibli film, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's good.
I would enjoy that. Then I can already tell.
Yeah, basically, it's gonna be it. It's. I mean, I've seen the something of Nassau or something. The flying.
Nausicaa of the
Winds or something.
Of the Winds or something.
Yeah, that movie is clearly one of their earlier movies. It's like, they weren't there yet. They weren't Studio Ghibli the way we know.
Oh, was it a little rough?
It's a little rough. Like, you see that every great movie studio, great artist, they had to start somewhere.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They got to do the thing.
They didn't just start out at greatness, and that movie is a thing. Like, it's not terrible. It
shows promise.
I don't even know if it's like it shows promise. It's just like you felt like they had something there, but like they just never were able to grasp it. You know, like they're trying to tell a really like interesting story with like kind of like magic science, kind of sci-fi magic, and like there's an existential crisis kind of, but it's very interesting. That's the best way I can put it.
All right.
Yeah. So Kyle, any other movies, worlds, universes that you want to live in?
That I would like to live in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one that I think would be interesting is if I'm a main character, or at least have their abilities, would be the Fast and Furious universe.
Okay, just
you mean the family universe?
The family universe, yes. And what do you mean by their abilities?
Well, it seems like whatever they want to happen will, as long as it involves vehicles. And so, to me, that's a pretty fun concept.
Vehicles and family.
Yeah, vehicles and family. You could just drive something straight through a wall if you needed to, or jump across buildings, hit something that isn't a ramp, but still gain height.
I drive a car on a rope bridge that is currently unraveling.
Right. And so physics mean nothing in this universe. So
cars are like magic, basically.
Yeah, cars are magic.
Cars are just magic wands.
Yeah, magic wands.
Yeah, and bad guys are bullet magnets, while good guys repel them.
I like that.
And yeah, your family, they'll sometimes seem like they died or mysteriously vanished, but they'll come back.
The Dragon Balls.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's chaotic, but if you're a main character, it seems like it's a lot of fun.
Okay, what if you're not a main character? What's the world like for you?
Oh, absolutely. It's just things are exploding. People are driving really fast for no reason. It's kind of like Baton Rouge.
Cars falling out the sky. Like, I guess it's another day.
It's really not. There's more questions than answers if you're a side character. But they don't live in like a universe with like superheroes or anything, and so the stuff you'll be seeing makes absolutely no sense. On top of being extremely dangerous to you, being in the vicinity, they have very little to no regard for any other human's life outside of their families. And you never know where they're going to pop up because they go from city to city, country to country, and terrorize everyone there. So and then the street races and stuff seem pretty problematic if you're not involved.
So Fast and the Furious feels like it's Harry Potter of the car world. Like there's just these entities that have like ultimate power that you just have no access to unless you somehow are a part of the family, right? Like Harry Potter himself was just, hey, he's kind of like, he has the bloodline, right? So you kind of so how do you get access to this power? Like how could a normal person get the Fast and Furious?
You had to be friends with Vin Diesel or family with Vin Diesel's character.
Oh, and then
Dominic Toretto needs to be somewhere, either Facebook friends or something. He has to be in the vicinity,
and he has to imbue the powers of the ability to do car magic. Wow.
To manipulate time and space around you,
as long as you're in a car.
Or you could be against Dominic, because I think the people who work against him also have magic car powers, right?
If you have just as or more muscles than he does, yes.
Oh, right.
So basically Voldemort is just the opposite of the family, whatever they're against. But they just tap into the evil powers that cars have.
Yeah, The Rock was Voldemort until he decided to join them,
right? But wasn't he like a police officer or something?
I'm I haven't watched the last, I think, 2 movies, so I'm confused about whether or not he still is. Because there was some at the end of one of the movies, he helped them and then was like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a head start to escape." But he was still a cop or part of the government in some way, but was now part of the family too. And I don't know how that relationship has grown since.
Fast and Furious.
Isn't the Hobbs and Shaw movie part of the Fast and Furious world?
Yeah, I believe so.
Part of the universe.
They're a cinematic universe.
So The Rock's character is the same character in both movies.
Right. Yeah, because Shaw
you can't see my face, but I'm making a face right now.
I can hear your face.
You can hear this face.
We have to do a Fast and Furious universe podcast where we just talk. There has to exist. Somebody has.
It's already a guarantee.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna look that up after this podcast to see if it exists.
We're gonna invite them on.
They're like, all right,
come talk about your stupid movie finish with us.
All right, it's gonna take us at least 18 hours to talk about the first movie.
Don't interrupt.
No interruption. So we've been talking about movies that we want to be in. What about movies we don't want to be in? What universes we don't want to be in? Like,
oh man, so many.
So I have one that I'm still on the fence about.
Okay.
But because are y'all familiar with the movie Chaos Walking?
No.
So it stars Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. So Spider-Man and what's her name from Rey from Star Wars, right?
I think I've seen the posters and stuff for this movie.
So the premise essentially is that you can see the thoughts of other people.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna leave it at that. There's more to it. It's a really interesting movie. I actually really encourage both of you to watch it. I actually think it would be a good movie to do a deep dive on. But and it's a short movie. It's digestible, and Tom Holland does a great job. He does a great job.
Shout out Tom.
So essentially you could see other people's thoughts. That's kind of the premise. And for some reason, one part of me goes, that's really cool, right? Because if you're in say you're in a job interview, right? And you're trying to get your pay correct, right? You could see what they actually could offer you. And you know what I'm saying? The negotiation process is less mystery.
Sure.
But
oh wow, okay.
The other side of it is that people can hear your thoughts, and not every thought is an intended thought. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I tell people about this
impulse thoughts.
Yeah, impulse thoughts that you don't know where it came from. I remember like one time I was doing an internship and I was like walking down the street and somebody was walking not down the street but at my job, and there's like this ramp that goes into the factory, and it's a pretty steep ramp, and somebody's walking up it, and I just had this thought, like, what if I pushed that person as hard as I possibly could? You know what I'm saying? Like I had no intention to do it. It's just like a thought,
Yeah, okay.
And
all right,
like
you can walk in front of me next time we're hanging out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's already too late.
But it's a thought. Like, it's just like, you've never had a thought of like, man, what would happen if I threw this spaghetti?
Yes, I have had those thoughts
for sure.
But
I had that like every time I drive and someone in front of me brakes. I just think about, what if I don't?
Wow.
Especially when I have my truck.
You'd win. That's basically victory. Winner. So
it flashes on the screen.
Just force stock them. So like, I think, I don't know, there's something terrifying about the idea that somebody always has access to my thoughts, but I also love the idea. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all think about that, like living in a world like that.
So I think that impulsive thoughts are problematic if they're on display.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched Moon Knight?
Not yet, no.
I've only watched a few episodes.
Shucks. Okay, I don't want to say anything spoily, but so there's a concept in Moon Knight about. Oh, there was actually another movie that did this, but it's.
But now you've mentioned Moon Knight, so you can't talk about it.
So I'm trying to make the concept removed from Moon Knight, so I don't spoil anything. But effectively, there's an entity that wants to kill people based on things that they're going to do. Like, they see evil intentions inside of them that they haven't committed yet.
Oh, like so the precogs from the movie with Tom Cruise?
I think it's less precogs in that the precogs would actually see the future and see what you would do, and it was inescapable, whether you wanted to or not. Whereas this is more like, oh, you have evil inklings, right, Kyle?
Right. Like, yeah.
Or that anime you were talking about, Steve. Remember?
Oh, it's more like psychopaths. Yeah.
Where like
so it's the potential of evil not seeing their future, because like it balances them out, and so their tendency, so they could potentially never do the thing, but because they have the capacity to do it, then it's like, okay, well then you have to die.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were you saying? I totally forgot.
Yeah, you guys interrupted me. I lost my.
You were just saying that. You were saying the thoughts, and you don't like the idea of unintended thoughts.
Oh yeah. So what I'm thinking is that eventually we'll get to a point to where people will be written off if they have those unintentional thoughts that are just, crossing that line. You push. I want to push you over, type of thing. So
yeah. That's exactly how I feel. And that's the thing, like, when does a thought become, like, a true intention? Like, oh, like, I have the thought to clean my bathroom. But is that actually my intention? And am I even sure?
That is a philosophical question that I am not ready to tackle.
And that's why
right now, Steve,
the movie universe of Chaos Walking is terrifying to me, because like now I'm expecting humans who are terrible to be able to interpret my thoughts in a way that's like not, because all you would do is, if you're a person who's able to like have a lot of control of your thoughts, you just use that to probably like, I don't know, oppress other people. You become a weird like cult or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I feel like people would find ways to game the system by either having rapid fire thoughts that nobody could ever keep track of, or figuring out some way to hide their thoughts.
So let me ask this question: in Chaos Walking, does everyone can everyone read everyone's thoughts, or is it like one or two characters have this power?
It's not a power. It's just a thing. So
it's normal to everyone.
Let me not call it a power, but is this a widespread phenomenon, or is it mostly just one or two characters?
It is a widespread.
Or a couple
it's
characters.
a widespread phenomenon.
Okay.
Is it as common as language? Like people talking, it's just as common as that?
I guess you could say yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it wouldn't be that bad because, well, it'd be bad like in today's society, like the way we've built our culture and our society. But if we were a race that had to deal with always hearing each other's thoughts, we would probably just adapt to that, scenario, and we would
that makes sense.
Figure it out.
Oh, so you're saying that like we would just eventually culture and whoever as we are as humans would just kind of figure out the difference between like, oh, that's just somebody like if somebody's walking down the street and you see them like, I don't know, stumble towards you, you could interpret that as an attack or they just tripped over something, right? But we'd be able to differentiate by your body movement, like how you're moving, like your shoulders are placed, like, oh, this person is falling versus this person is attacking me, so you're saying that.
Right.
Ah, interesting.
I think it'd be okay. It wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be very I mean, I haven't seen the movie yet, but just like the way I think about it is I can't. So let me ask you how it works. So can they turn it off to where it doesn't, if you're trying to have an out loud conversation with someone, or you're in a very busy place with a bunch of people's thoughts or loud music, anything, is there a way to, how do you reel that in?
So the best way that I can describe it in I really think you both should see the movie and maybe we should have a whole podcast on it.
Oh, okay, sure.
But the best way to think about it is that if you were like, when you're at Disney World or something, a amusement park, and it's just people talking everywhere, like that's kind of a good way to think about it when there's a lot of people around,
So it's just inescapable noise, pretty much.
Yes.
But I guess back to Steve's
it's not great, but
you'd adapt to where you could pretty much ignore what you're not focusing on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you just go crazy as a child, probably.
Most likely.
Now, I don't know if this happens in the movie, but if this suddenly just started happening, like today, that would be horrific. That was not a world I want to live in. But if it's always happened and we just kind of grew up with it, I think we could deal.
Yeah, I'll say, all I'll say is watch the movie. There's some interesting things.
Say no more.
Yeah.
What you just said, Steve, reminds me of sometimes when they do the Superman origin story. Or I guess.
Oh, and he's like, "What's going on? I can see and hear everything."
Yeah, he gets his super hearing.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The classic moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The anime I'm watching right now is Psyche or whatever, and he is a psychic and he can hear everybody's like thoughts, and it's like he just talks about how overwhelming it is at all times, so he like has to go to quiet places. So it's yeah. So anyway, what about y'all? What other movie universes?
So we're on to hate.
Would you
now?
not want to be in
Battlefield or
why? Because it's basically a
it's in the name.
What do you call it? A propaganda for what's it called?
For Scientology.
Yeah.
It is Scientology the movie. It's a terrible movie with John Travolta trying his best to bring Scientology to the masses. And actually, you know what? Not even the movie. Any universe where Scientology is true is a universe I don't want to be in, because it does sound pretty terrible. The concept is that I don't know the concept of the movie. I've actually never seen it.
Oh.
But the concept of the religion is basically that there's this evil alien overlord who A, is evil and an overlord, and B, killed, I guess, billions of alien people, and now their spirits reside in us and torment us and stuff.
Oh my.
That sounds pretty... Oh, are you not aware of Scientology, my friend?
I was not.
It's dramatic, I'll say. But it's not a world I would want to live in. So that movie... Plus the movie is so I think it's set way in the past. Most of the main characters are the aliens, and then the humans are mostly, from what I recall from the little clips, I think the humans are cavemen, basically.
Yeah, we're basically enslaved by these like alien overlords with horrible dreads who like were trying. I saw it a long time ago.
So like the discount predators?
Yes.
It's like a mix of predators and what is the dudes from Star Trek with the little wrinkly foreheads? Klingons. Yeah. It kind of mixes those.
With the little wrinkly forehead.
I mean, there's little wrinkles on their forehead.
They frown too much and now they're
Mama said your face will get stuck like that.
If you keep doing that, you're going to become a Klingon. I'm telling you. You better stop making that face. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of want to pick another, but that's just the first thing I thought. I was like, man,
he's like immediately like just your spirit was like Battlefield.
I was drawn to
like, but that's not what I want to say. Battlefield.
There's got to be a better option. No, it's Battlefield.
Did you make a joke? I thought like you said you were John to the Travolta.
I was John Travolta. Yes. I was drawn to the Travolta.
Hilarious. Well, we'll come back around. So keep that one. Kyle, do you have one?
Yeah. So as a preface, any horror movie universe, no thanks. I don't care what's happening.
It's not the real universe. You're just unawares.
Yeah, dude, ghosts are real.
There's enough here. I'll say that.
Ouija boards are real.
Yeah, and
they exist.
I'm good. Board. So I don't need to go. Yeah, Waluigi boards. Yeah.
You actually heard me.
I did hear you.
you put your. Can you imagine? We're all standing around the board with our hands on the little thing, and it just moves to wow.
That's the only option. W A. And then you hear it like wow in the background.
If someone is in this room, say wow.
The tennis ball rolls out of the corner.
You see a lanky shadow going through the kitchen.
That would legitimately be terrifying.
First of all, he's like, what, 8 foot tall or something like that?
Like
he's got to be. This man is a spider.
Basically a basketball player.
And he's locking eyes with Bowser, the only person.
I have one. Can I do one? Oh, no, you're in the middle of one. You're in the middle. Sorry. I forgot we were being serious.
Write it down.
I got it written down.
So, I guess similar to my last one, there's universes to me that have like similar vibes. And so a universe that I would hate to be in on either side of this would either be Ghostbusters and Men in Black. Like really? So pretty much the idea where there's like just creatures that have malicious intent, running rampant, possessing bodies, destroying property. And like there's a special forces group that's just running around the nation trying to stop them.
Humanity?
Yeah, that's the world we live in now, dude.
It's just put on ghosts and aliens instead of us.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of these movies kind of are reflections of real life. So that's a fair point. But especially something that's like green and spitting up acid at me. Humans haven't done that to me yet. So,
have you met the Joker?
I haven't had the pleasure.
Have you met a baby?
Have you met a green baby?
Spits up.
Have you met the Ooblas or whatever they're called?
Oh, the
Booba.
The Boobas. Oh Lord. He poopy. Oh gosh, that squeaky noise. Oh my goodness. I actually kind of disagree with you, Kyle, because for some reason the Men in Black universe does seem appealing to me. Like, it's essentially our universe with aliens, like, confirmed, right? But we're not aware of them. They just maybe it is our universe as it is.
It's very sugar coated.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, yeah, there's aliens and they're probably dangerous, but for the most part, things are fine. That's kind of
there's some Men in Black, like, dangerous, and even the aliens in the original Men in Black weren't dangerous. The ones that were going to destroy the Earth, it was the cockroach one. Okay, maybe I don't want to live in the Men in Black universe.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Kyle's like, I'm glad we're on the same page.
I was waiting for you to get there.
There we go. Never mind. If there's a cockroach planet, I'm good. I'm good. You could just eject me into space. I'm good.
I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, Brad's next movie is Starship Troopers.
Well, see, the thing is, the Starship Troopers, we go to them. They didn't come to us. We're like assaulting.
Is that true?
Yeah, like we're assaulting.
I thought we were like at war.
I'm pretty sure we went to their planet and we're fighting them. Like,
but then they followed us.
Whose fault is that? That's ours.
So just because it's our fault, you're cool with it? You're like, yeah, as you're getting spit on by a giant roach, you're like, this is what humanity deserves.
I deserve this.
I mean, we don't know. Theoretically, there could be a giant roach planet, as we know. And I'm okay with that.
I prefer not to think about it.
As long as it's outside of the realm where we could, like, light is too fast. like it's outside of, like, that realm where it's like, it might as well not exist to us in the universe. Like, we can never...
The roaches we see now are scouts from that planet.
Even if we were to travel...
That explains why they're so bold.
Because they're waiting for their brethren. Oh, gosh. That'd be so terrible.
Lying in wait.
See? You're already living in that world, Kyle.
Like, yeah. I guess I'm following you being ejected into space then.
Minus the roaches, I like Men in Black. So you're saying that you don't like them because there's entities that exist that are malicious in their intent who have more power than you? Is that it?
I guess, yeah, more or less. That would probably be the crux of it. It's just like if I'm a normal person and I encounter one of those things in either universe, there's not much I can do. And so I don't really like the idea of that potentially happening.
Okay.
I guess if you met a grizzly bear in the woods.
Exactly. But then if the grizzly bear came into the city and Men in Black style had a disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And then
was like, I'm gonna eat all their honey.
They'll
never see me come.
Yeah, their honey.
I keep going to Win Dixie.
Is that a bear outside?
Did someone say honey?
And then they maul you.
There was a web comic I was reading called Bearmageddon.
Huh.
It was about some people who basically were doing living their lives, and then bears began to attack, and like force came out of the woods. I don't think they were intelligent. I just think there was a lot of them.
A lot of bears?
They were like yeah, a lot of bears, and they were like mutating and stuff. It was like a zombie apocalypse type thing,
but with bears.
Oh
gosh.
I mean, bears are.
But then the guy didn't continue. He didn't like continue the story. He kind of just fell off after a while.
Yeah, man, bears
sounds.
I mean, I could get that. Grizzly bears eat people like their prey alive or whatever. So
what?
Yeah, like if you
mean fish?
No, humans, deer, whatever they catch
alive,
you are gonna be eaten alive.
I feel like a bear cannot take me alive.
Have you?
Because
you've never seen a bear.
Not because I'm good enough to get away, but because if a bear hits me, my neck will break.
No. But see, bears aren't gonna kill you like that. You think a bear's just gonna swipe you like that? A bear's gonna grab you, and they're gonna pin you down, and then they're gonna just start eating you. That's it. Like they.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like,
they're not gonna wait for you to stop moving.
Yeah, fresh meat.
Fresh meat.
That.
Okay. I mean, I guess if the bear's hungry, anything's possible.
Yes.
Or if you're near its cubs, it seems like.
I think it's near.
I don't think it'll eat you if you're near its cubs.
That's where it'll swipe your face off. Yeah.
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 Well, I feel like being bitten because it's attacking you and being eaten won't feel a whole lot different.
Getting swiped and being eaten alive?
I think the concept of being eaten alive is that it continues. Instead of you just dying or getting
you're
away.
Alive, actively being eaten.
You continue to be eaten until it eventually
dead.
Kills you several minutes later.
I mean, I couldn't tell you what the experience is like because, Oh, actually, that movie, The Revenant, is about that. Some guy getting... A bear eating Leonardo DiCaprio alive and him surviving that experience, I think.
It wasn't eating him alive, it was fighting him.
Well, I think what it's based on, because it's based on a real person.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying that was a guy who was attempting?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, so I might just be completely off.
Trying to be.
I might be completely off. But, Yeah, I do know.
What was that one with Liam Neeson and the wolves? That was kind of...
Oh, that movie. The Gray Man. Whew. If wolves were really like that. I didn't
like it. Maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind, but I did not like that movie.
Really? I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies.
I like Liam Neeson, so...
Yeah, it was so good.
He was good.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you were in the wrong side. I don't know. Maybe we should watch it again.
I don't know. I like it. I would be willing to watch it again, but it's definitely not a top priority.
Yeah, it's.
It just seemed boring and like nothing happened to me. But
yeah,
it's potentially just one of those movies, and I just wasn't in the mood to watch one of those movies.
Yeah. I mean, luckily wolves aren't generally that aggressive, so we're lucky. But wolves are huge. Wolves are like
massive.
They're just giant.
All right, so I got one.
What the dog do?
Oh! Before you go, I'm gonna shout out Marcus right now. Speaking of bears, in college, we came up with this concept called bears with extendo arms. So like you'd be in the forest running away from it, and it could just extend out its arms like Piccolo and just grab you, and then pull you.
Why?
We were just thinking about terrible things.
Because he and Marcus are complete clowns.
What on earth?
There's so many more. I'm not going to bring them all up, but there's a lot of terrible monsters that we came up with.
Stretchy bears?
Bears with extendo arms. Best.
Shotgun spiders.
Shotgun spiders, trapdoor spider. Well, what they do is they knock on your front door. And then you open the door and then they grab you. So, yeah. The shotgun spiders.
No!
Yeah. Lots of great crime. We could make a great horror movie if we wanted to.
These sound like what the aliens would be in Men in Black, the ones you don't see.
You're fulfilling his nightmare.
Yeah.
In Men in Black, the roach alien would kill all of them. So there'd only be roach aliens.
So I have the movie that's gonna top Kyle, like anything Kyle was thinking for movies he wouldn't like, for scary movies. This is the worst one. I almost want to guarantee it, but I'm not that confident. Right. But it's the worst one.
I believe you.
Bring your confidence.
It.
Yeah.
Stephen King's It.
It's pretty good.
Well, but you just don't have to live in that town.
Yeah. Assuming that you live in the town, honestly, like,
just don't live there. Like,
there's not really not in the town. You might as well.
But there's not really a strong reason that not being in the town should protect you. Like it.
There is a very strong.
The creature decides to stay in town.
No,
because it's enough.
Huh? Doesn't have to because it's like essence or whatever, like the alien entity itself, like the thing that brought it here, is in the town.
No, I think it's just comfortable. It's just this nest. There's plenty of food.
Maybe you know better because you've probably read the books, but I'm basing off the movie. You know.
Yeah, well, even in the movie. Like, there's definitely like the true creature is underground, but it's a creature. It's mobile.
But wasn't it like some type of like meteorite or something?
It came in a meteor, but it's not.
Isn't that
like
what they used to like defeat it, right?
No. They just in the recent movies they literally bullied it to death, which was kind of stupid.
No, they did that in the first movie, but in the second movie it was different.
Oh, I forget what happened in the second.
Yeah, because in the second movie, they had to go there. They found the alien thing, and then they had to do something with its, like, the thing that makes it strong. I don't think they got rid of it, but it looks like it's bound to that space because of whatever that weird hibernating meteorite thing.
Okay, fine. Let's just say that's the case. Whatever the situation, if you live in the town, is basically a worst case scenario because Pennywise, long story short, is like a formless, hungry god of chaos that came to Earth and feeds on fear and malice and hatred and especially loves children. And it has the power and the inclination to conjure up your worst fears and just tease you and torment you until it finds a good time to kill you. Yeah. So that's like, in my mind, in terms of like, oh, scary monsters and malicious entities and stuff, like that's almost top of the chart.
I can't disagree with that. It's like
that sounds horrible.
It's like Monsters Inc. Like just terrible. Like,
yeah, because at least it seems like in Monsters Inc. that if they could kill you, like they're very dangerous with their claws and stuff, but they won't.
Oh, the monsters. Yeah, they're all good-natured guys, fellows.
Yeah, and then they eventually figure out, like, you know, laughter or whatever is better, or joy or whatever. But Pennywise essentially tries to trap you in a state of fear, right?
Yeah.
So he can feed off of you.
I mean, yeah, and he also is like vindictive and cruel and really creative. You know, there's a scene where like the girl as an adult, she goes back to her house, to her childhood home, and you know, there's this old lady who's living there. I'm just going to spoil parts of it. That's
Wasn't
fine.
that in the trailer?
This old lady.
So you can spoil it.
Yeah, I think it was in the trailer. But yeah, this old lady's living there, and she invites her in, and she's asking this lady about her life. And she's just kind of decrepit, but you know, she's nice enough, and she gives her tea. But like the scene, especially in the book, in the movie they're kind of heavy-handed, but in the book there's this slow, creeping, horrifying realization that the woman is like not what she seems. You know, like she's drinking the tea and the tea tastes like mud, or like, you know, she sees a painting in the background and it looks like Pennywise or something, or she's talking about my dad who was a clown, and it's just but that, you know, everything I just said sounds really obvious, but like it kind of happens slowly and it goes with the character, and you realize that Pennywise literally just sat there and like made this whole dream world, like made this rundown, emptied out house into it so that it appeared as if it was lived in, and made this whole like lie. Just yeah, it's an elaborate scheme just to screw with the girl, with the lady, and scare her even more, you know.
So does he use hallucinations, or does he have physical props?
So it's a little bit of both. So it seems like he can create like real physical stuff, but he can make it so that only the people he's tormenting, or at least children, can see it.
Okay.
So, for example, there's a scene in the book where this bully, one of the minor characters, opens an abandoned refrigerator, like in a field or something. I forget why, I forget what made the scene creepy, but it was a creepy situation. He opens this thing, and there's a bunch of like weird leeches in the fridge. And then they fly at him.
Ooh.
Like they have wings. They're like flesh colored. And they fly at him and start biting him. And when they bite him, they basically just suck out tons and tons of blood and get huge, and then they pop. They don't even want to live. They just suck out as much blood as they can and they pop. And he's like trying to like pull them off and like hit them, but more keep coming. And he just dies of blood loss.
Oh my gosh.
And then, or as he's like weak from blood loss, then Pennywise grabs him and like pulls him into the sewer and eats him alive, presumably. Yeah, like there's a real situation. I mean, you know, where these leeches come from, they're not even real, but they were real enough to Patrick, or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when you say vindictive, I think I never thought about it, but yeah, because if you think about it, Pennywise could have easily just left them alone, especially in like, say, the second movie, because they did their thing, pushed them back, and then they left, and they're like thinking about, hey, Pennywise is about to come back now, time has passed, and he could have just been like, I'm just gonna just get children or whatever, but he's like, I'm getting the people who messed up what I was trying to do before. Like, I'm focusing on them.
Revenge story.
Yeah, like he's definitely vindictive. So yeah, like you don't want to vindict this evil, crazy alien god monster.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and I kind of brushed over, but yeah, he is basically a god. And like, there's this concept in the Stephen King verse of the macroverse, which I guess is similar to the multiverse. Her. But the macroverse exists outside of like our universe or our set of universes, and it's just where all the big nasty monsters are, like you know, the
Cthulhu types.
The Cthulhu gods from like HR, not
Huff
HR.
stuff.
Yes, thank you. And it, or Pennywise or whatever, is one of those creatures that came to Earth basically by accident. and was like, "Oh, I like it here."
Wonderful.
And so the theory is like, oh, and in the books, when the kids go to fight it, or when the adults go to fight it, there's like eggs, like it was laying eggs
Absolutely
and creating
terrible.
more of itself.
Absolutely no, thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely no.
Yeah, and so even dairy, like it would have. I guarantee if they had hatched, it would have been the whole planet, not just dairy.
See, that's the rub. Yeah, that's the problem. So, okay.
Eggs.
So, I have a movie universe that I don't think most people would agree with me on this. But, like, think about it from, like, purely, like, that concept of, like, being a background character or being a main character. I still think it's kind of terrible. Is living in the Star Wars universe. Because I think, like, Star Wars is cool. But Star Wars is, like, one of those places where, like, there's an immense disparity between the haves and the have-nots. Like, if it feels like you either live in this terrible, like, slave planet, or you live in this like super futuristic like world where like politics and all this stuff, you know, there's a lot of planets, so I might just be overreaching from what I've seen in Star Wars. But like
there's a range for sure.
It feels like everything is either space Taj Mahal or space slums.
Exactly. And I feel like most people would be in space slums, you know?
Sure. Probably.
And so if I was just a standard character, I think I'd be on one of those planets. I'd be doing the stupid pod racing events, hoping to get my freedom, you know? And the Force is cool and all, but the Force also seems to be like not good. You know what I'm saying? It just...
You don't think so?
No. It just seems like, what does the Jedi say? It wants balance, right? The reason that the Jedi exist and why the Sith exist is because of a lack of balance. And, like, I don't know if, like, I've heard other people say it, but I always just say the gray Jedi or the gray, like, there's, like, if you think of, like, Sith as red Jedi and then, like, you know, the Jedi.
Let's say Force users to be more clear.
Like, there's, like, the evil Force users and the good Force users, right? But, like, I think the Force just wants a neutral Force user, you know? And because if things are stratified, it just continues to create these two sides of the same coin, you know? Like, the Force is actively making these things happen because it wants balance, you know?
Yeah, it feels like the Force is made to generate conflict. Not conflict, but, conflict, but I guess, like, tension and drama.
And yeah, and I think that those who seek out the Force actually make the Force... Like, the Force is just simply like, hey, like, I want, like, status. Like a homogeneous system. That's what the Force wants. I want everything to be equally distributed. Good, bad, indifferent, like, whatever. Right? But then there's people who become basically monks. They're like, I want to use the Force for only good and doing these things. And the Force going like, no. You're putting too much weight on this side of the scale. I need to make something to balance it out. I'm going to make Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying?
Evilist.
Like, you know, and I just feel like being in a universe where I know that there's basically this Force, this literal Force that's causing, like you said, conflict, a conflict generator seems pretty not cool to me. It seems cool. Like, oh, I can move stuff, but like, it's like a never ending cycle of, you know,
people just misusing it
and sorrow.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to be in the Star Wars universe. Like,
it also seems like you can live like a Jedi lifestyle, like a peaceful lifestyle without the Force. You can like meditate and, you know, whatever, be a monk without being a Force user.
Yeah. So
other than fighting and talking to your sister from half a galaxy away, what use is it?
Yeah, it seems like it's just for zealots, like people who are really, really intensely, like, because like even the Jedi Order, what is their goal? Their goal is essentially they're a political organization whose goal is to basically like stomp out anything that is against their like doctrine. You know, they're just like this giant religious construct, I guess you could say, like in and their whole goal is to just stop anything that they don't like, and it basically just creates more powerful things. You know what I'm saying? Like, people become Sith because they're like, I absolutely hate the Jedi, you know, versus like, you know, a more.
I think part of it is because, you know, they are imbued with this connection to the Force, but then they choose to only use it for what they say isn't for personal gain, but like you're saying, it's for like the whole of it is for their personal gain, because the Force does have all these uses outside of what they consider to be, you know, redeeming qualities or the ethical ways to use the Force.
Yeah.
I don't know too much. I don't know enough about Star Wars, but I feel like someone is going to complain about what you're saying.
Yeah, I know they are because like
absolutely,
because like I know enough about the Star Wars universe, you know, of course all of the movies, but I've read some of the books. I've looked up some of the, you know, the backgrounds, different characters and like things like that. But I'm not like a aficionado. Like, I don't know every side book and comic and this and that. But like, fundamentally, you cannot tell me that the Jedi aren't a like, you could say they're a peacekeeping force. But what they do is they just send Jedi to planets that are having problems with their agenda to fix the problem. You know?
Sure.
So like so if you're not within their orthodoxy, you're going to be dealt with, you know?
You know what I will say? Even if someone disagrees about the Jedi or about the Force not being good, I think it's pretty obvious that everyone that we've met in the story who isn't a Force user or who hasn't yet become a Force user or main character has been struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Luke, Anakin, Rey were all like living in slums.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin was literally a slave, he and his mom.
Like scrappers or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Luke didn't get to go to Tashi Station like he wanted. That sucks.
He sure didn't.
It seems like, yeah, unless you're like a political, or like if you're not a politician or a prince or something, even the Jedi didn't live that well. Like, they were monks, but that's fine. That's their choice. We see little bits and pieces in the first couple movies of like cities and stuff with people partying, but mostly when we see non-main characters, we see them in like bars
and like bounty hunting and selling junk.
or bounty hunting.
Like, Rey was a junk. So here's a really, and I don't know if it's canon anymore, but one of the books, the Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan story, how Obi-Wan became a Jedi is so horrible, right? So basically, like, he's sent to the academy. I think he's an orphan or something. And what they do is they send orphans to the academy to see if they have any like use, if they're good enough. And if they're good enough, then they become a Padawan. But if you're not good enough, you basically just get sold into slavery or sold to some planet or just sent somewhere.
Dang.
So basically in the book, I think it's called The Young Jedi or something. Obi-Wan is at the academy as a kid. He's not good enough. And all the other Jedi that exist have taken on Padawans. The only Jedi who is not taken on a Padawan is Qui-Gon, right? And Qui-Gon has no goal of taking on a Padawan. Because of some stuff that happened in his past with another Padawan. And because of that, Obi-Wan is going to be sent literally to a like slave planet to become a slave, to like break rocks or something for the rest of his life.
Tight.
Right? And what happened was
tight.
It just so happened that Qui-Gon Jinn was on the same freighter that Obi-Wan was on when he was getting sent into slavery. And there was like these evil like minor people who like run the whole thing. And it caused this whole circumstance where like people were getting killed and Qui-Gon was trying to stop these people. But like Obi-Wan, because he had force powers, was like the only person that could really help him. So they kind of partnered up. They get stranded on this planet. They work together. And then eventually Qui-Gon's like, you know what? I'll let you be my Padawan.
Since he's basically already his Padawan.
Yeah, right? But honestly, like up until the very last moment, Qui-Gon was going to let this man go into servitude and like go work. I can't
on the ship.
Yeah, he was on the ship and he knew he was there. Like, it was terrible. And like Obi-Wan had to work really hard to get there. So like, it's not like the Jedi were like good people. It's just like, oh, if you're not a strong enough Force user, you're not useful to us. You know, like go do something else with your life. You know,
all the kids at that weird casino in one of the latest movies, they were slaves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Han Solo and his girl were not slaves, but they were basically gangsters on their planet, their home planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not much happening there.
No.
Yeah, and I even feel like being a Jedi is not that great, you know? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. That's my personal opinion. Once again, might get some mad hate, but tell me. Prove it to me. And most of the people who'd want to be in a Jedi universe wouldn't even cut it. They wouldn't ever be Jedi. They would just be seaweed farmers on some random planet.
They'd be dirt
farmers on some random planet with Jabba the Hutts, with Hutts ruling them.
Oh yeah,
wearing a nice bikini
with a chain around their neck, with that weird looking goblin dude with them. So
yeah,
I do like
you convinced me.
The robots and stuff in the Star Wars universe, like the I guess the technological aspects of the Star Wars universe is still really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, but yeah, if you have to choose a side, I guess, because I don't even know, I guess, where you'd have to be to really interact with those things, because, you know, the Empire with the tyrannical, and so you'd be around them if you were part of, like, if you were a stormtrooper, you know, you'd be around that stuff, but you wouldn't really get to interact with it, I guess. And Anakin built C-3PO on his planet, but it was kind of, just because he had the Force and stuff, they kind of alluded that he had heightened skills and stuff. So he was different. He was built different, so he built different stuff.
He was built different. So I mean, it is inferred that Anakin was like an immaculate conception by the Force.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the midichlorians made him.
Yeah. And the same with Rey.
Rey was a product of a husband and wife.
Who? They said she had no parents.
No, have you seen the latest movies?
Yeah, I have.
It's revealed, spoilers, it's revealed at the end of the third movie when Palpatine has come back, that Palpatine's clone, one of his clones, didn't have much Force powers, or for whatever reason, it was just a guy. Yes. And he was just living his life, and he married a woman and had a kid with her.
And Rey is his granddaughter.
That's right.
Well, his daughter via clone, so basically his daughter. Granddaughter.
Yeah. His daughter.
It was daughter via Oh.
Yeah. His second cousin.
If you go by like age and generation, basically your grandfather.
So his clone was technically his son.
But if his clone is him, then it would be his daughter, like you were saying.
Yeah, so, I get it.
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
Wild.
But definitely Anakin was literally created by the Force to balance the Force, which was to become the strongest, most evilest Sith ever created. The Force is not good. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Yeah. So
I'm not gonna. When the people come for you, I'm not gonna help.
Come find me. I've been taking Muay Thai. Bring out your lightsaber. I will kick that junk out your head.
Slice your leg off.
Then I'll low kick you straight in your patella.
Am I what?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Finish your sentence.
I'll just blast your legs with.
So I have another universe that I wouldn't like to live in.
Do we want to make this the last one?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I guess there's a pre and a post time. So pre the events, it'd probably be fine, I guess. But post recent events, it'd be terrible. And that's the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World universes.
Yo, I literally brought that up.
I wondered if somebody was
almost said Jurassic World, but I was like,
Yeah, like Jurassic Park seems novel. Like it's like a cool idea. They found an island, and you go there, right? And the dinosaurs are there, and I love theme parks and stuff. I love dinosaurs, So, and there was like one group of people who kept getting caught up in all the actual stuff getting eaten. So there's a good chance, even as a side character, I'd be fine. So I'm okay with that if it's at the parks.
Well, if you go and you're not a main character, you're very likely to die.
You might survive. You have a good chance.
The odds are pretty low, I think. I think most of the main characters, mostly it's the main characters who survive, not the...
I thought the side characters leave.
Yeah, I mean, almost, because in the original Jurassic Park, they hadn't even opened the park yet, right? Right. So the park never opened. In Jurassic World, they opened the park, and quite a few people got killed, but a lot of people escaped,
Yeah, so I guess.
Oh, I don't remember. I only saw Jurassic World once. I was in France.
Was it in French?
And I haven't seen it. I don't recall.
The T-Rex go.
I literally don't remember. I barely.
Second view.
The T-Rex opened its mouth. It was.
We just lost all of our French listeners right there.
all 1.5. But I saw the movie a long time ago. I barely remember it, and I have not seen any of the subsequent movies. So I don't know. I don't know what happens.
So the most recent Jurassic World is the most problematic because they have a bunch of dinosaurs in the mainland because they were like selling them on the black market and stuff, and they let a little girl decide what's going to happen to them at the end of the movie, whether or not they're going to stay in captivity, eventually die, or she hits a red button and they just get released into the city. And of course, she releases them into the city.
Why?
Child logic.
Because she says, well, if I don't do it, they're going to die. And doesn't think of the repercussions at all.
So, in the movie, did like the adults and the other people, other characters, like hold her to that? Like, you just killed millions of people or whatever, thousands of people.
Nope.
Chris Pratt's cool with it.
No one, everyone's cool with it. They're like, well, this was just natural. It was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. They're completely fine with it because they let her stand there and like contemplate what to do, and they just look at her. And then when she hits the button, they don't say anything. Nothing happens. I think the movie just cuts, or it just shows them running into the city,
into the woods,
to eat.
Into the
woods, yeah.
So, like, your assumption is that they didn't like go into the city and cause problems. Like, they're out there now propagating.
Yeah, they're in the world.
Yeah, and this is a spoiler, but it was in the trailer. In the next movie, so it's showing them they have made it to mainland. They're around people and stuff, but also they've somehow had babies.
Well, of course.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But the thing about the Jurassic Park is that they were all females. So,
but that hasn't been a successful block since the first movie. So of course they're going to have babies.
That's the Jeff Goldblum line.
Life finds a way.
Yeah. So yeah, life is finding a way, and it's going to be. Yeah, my expectation is going to be significantly worse. There's going to be more casualties in this movie than any of the other ones, at least on screen.
So
cool.
I don't know. All I'll say is this: that I feel that in reality, like how animals work, is that once animals realize they're getting murdered by something, they tend to stay away from that thing. So I just have a feeling, just like grizzly bears and like every other animal, they'll just stay in their domain unless we like encroach on it or they accidentally cross us. You know what I'm saying? Like people run into grizzly bears and black bears because of like some of the lack of like now they're trying to conserve the population, meaning like you can't hunt them. So there's more of them. But I think if things were like balanced, we just kill enough of them to keep them at bay. And then the rest of them be like, I ain't going over there to get killed. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yes and no. I think a lot of the dinosaurs might act that way. But first of all, there isn't any territory that we're encroaching on. They're basically in our territory. So they're gonna be making their own territory. And maybe some of that will be just out in the woods and mountains and no one's any the wiser. But a lot of that is gonna be like small towns, places near the wilderness. So like, yeah, that's gonna suck. And on the other hand, like a T-Rex or some big animal isn't necessarily going to care, right? Like I doubt they'll come into the city for fun often, but I don't think they're going to avoid it either.
I don't know. I feel like the T-Rex are getting smart in the movie, right? So they're
I don't know. Really sure
in the movies, and they were also dinosaurs were just overall more resilient than I guess other animals would be, because they'd just be lighting them up, but the dinosaurs would just eat. Like, they were bullet sponges, and so
which makes no sense. Like, why would maybe in the I remember a scene in Jurassic World in the first one when they were like talking about how they were like, well, we engineered this one so that it can like hide its heat signature and do this and that and whatever. Did they also make it bulletproof when they did that?
Okay. Rhinos, right? You can't shoot a rhino with a normal gun. You know, an elephant, a bear,
even. Thick hides.
You know, like you can shoot a bear, it'll still kill you. You know, so.
Yeah, it'll still kill you, but it'll die later. But these guys are just shrugging off bullets because it's a movie.
But I feel like if an elephant you can't just shoot an elephant with a pistol. You have to shoot it like with a special gun.
Sort of high caliber.
You know, so imagine just elephant level.
Yeah, but that's based on like the size. Like it takes more to get through the added meat and fat on an elephant. But a velociraptor is basically human size.
But it has scales and the skin is different. You know what I'm saying? Like. I mean, I assume if you just shoot a snake, like it's probably gonna die. But assuming you live in a world where all the other animals basically try to kill you with their teeth, you'll grow stronger skin. So maybe, I don't know. I'm just trying to extrapolate, but I feel you though.
Let's say they're bulletproof and assume that does make it a world I would not want to live in.
Yeah.
If they're as resilient as the movies have shown, then normal weapons and even small groups of people with decent weapons are still no match for the bigger ones.
But isn't it true that the reason like 90% of the time things didn't go well is because we were kind of unprepared, right? Like, we go to that island in the Lost World with like a outfit of like 8 people, and there's like they're everywhere. Or a T-Rex enters our space, and now we just have normal policemen. But like, if we were aware that there's a population of dinosaurs, wouldn't we be somewhat like rangers would be equipped with like high caliber weapons that could kill them?
Yeah, you would think so. And so if the movie goes on and shows them still being bullet sponges, even though we should be, more prepared, then I'll be a little sad.
I mean, the first mistake is creating another dinosaur that hides from heat signatures.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Whose idea was that?
They just were like splicing DNA. It's unclear if it was on purpose, like because they were saying it was for theatrics. Like people were getting bored of normal dinosaurs somehow,
right?
And so they had to make something that was bigger and badder.
But
I think that's definitely crossing a line if you can't even find the thing.
But you were saying what you said, Kyle. It's also there was this insinuation that they made that also because they wanted the park to fail. I don't know where that thought's coming from, but it seemed deliberate to some extent. They're like, of course this is going to break out the compound and cause problems.
I don't remember that part.
I mean, maybe I'm just assuming or just reading between lines that never were there, but.
I mean, I think so. Chris Pratt's character, whose name was probably still Chris, likely said something along those lines that they're doing too much, and the ethics were brought into question a lot.
I think he said they doing too much.
Literally was his lines.
Y'all doing too much.
Y'all doing too much.
Chris looks at the script. Chris looks at the script. He's like, "Are you sure you want me to say that?"
Like that's the lines. Read them.
Read them and weep
with that paycheck.
Well, all I know is that it seems like there's probably more movies that we don't want to be in than movies that we want to be in.
Yeah,
I think
without question.
I think I was against Kyle earlier when he said Men in Black, And then I remembered, you know, I think Jurassic Park, I wanted to say Jurassic World or Park or whatever would be a cool universe to be in. But at the same time, I'm not really out there looking for bears.
No.
You know, I'm just trying to save my house. So if like dinosaurs are more aggressive, like I think I'm good, you know?
Same.
So yeah, we would love to hear from our audience. What movie universe would you like to live in? And what movie universe would you never want to be a part of ever? You know, so
ever.
Not or, and you have to answer both questions.
You know, so leave them in the comments, you know, tweet us on the Twitters. You know, of course, our Discord, our fam, you know, we'll definitely talk about it. So, yeah, you know, any last remarks before we end for the day? I hear silence. I hear.
I think so I guess an honorable mention would be the positive aspects of, which was a book first, but Ready Player One. I still want us to get to where video games and virtual reality especially is at the point where it was in that movie.
My final thought will be to counteract this. That is a dystopian movie. That is not a world I want to live in.
I think my final thought is I want to be in a world where if aliens do exist, they do contact us like in Arrival, you know, like I would love to like it
or Contact, even better.
Or Contact. Yeah. I would love to be in a world where if they did exist, that we actually could talk with them or commune with them or learn about them. That'd be super cool.
We come in peace.
So Arrival would be a cool universe. So yes, they come in peace or they come to take our pieces. So so anyway, thank you everybody for listening. Always a joy to make these podcasts. Even when you only have like 5 hours of sleep, Steve, we are here making it happen. So we're really thankful for the opportunity to share what we're doing. So once again, thank you, Kyle, for being here today.
Always a pleasure, sir.
And reminding me of Men in Black. And thank you, Steve, for being here today as well. Yes. And making me envision.
You're welcome.
Envision French T-Rexes. I must do this now.
Holding a baguette.
That's all he's coming. That's all he's here for.
Little velociraptors with
the hats on their head.
Berets.
I promise you on the internet that exists.
And they have Pepe Le Pew mannerisms, so they just hug everything.
Oh no, I don't like that. We don't need that Me Too stuff in here, bro. We good. But anyway, as I was saying, thank you to our audience. As always, you can find us on Spotify. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, everywhere, SoundCloud. Just look for us, find us, Super Agile Bros. We out here in the streets. So once again, thank you for listening, and until next time, peace.